Then today's topic would be just the odor assessments methods and what's important to fully understand the odor assessments to get the results, proper results. I will just cover the purpose of the odor assessments, importance of choosing proper odor assessments methods. Then I will just talk briefly about pros and cons for different methods. And if I have a time, I will just introduce case studies, and then I will end up my presentations with conclusions and summary. What's the purpose of odor assessments? I don't know what's the audience, but it's not for the odor specialists. It's just for the regular people, which they want to hire some consultants, and they don't know what's involved in odor assessments. That's the reason my presentation is very simple. Then the purpose of odor assessments is first of all to investigate of any complaints. If there's any complaints occurred, we need to verify the complaints. And one of the methods is to do the full odor assessments. Later on, I will tell you what's the full odor assessments. Sometimes in the permits or in Canada, because I'm Canadian from Ontario, which we have very strict restrictions, sometimes they put the certain conditions for the permits and ECA. Also, the odor assessments are done to assess the long-term odor exposures in the area, or the rank potential odor sources, like at the wastewater treatment plant. You want to control certain areas and you don't know what's the main odor source. Then that's the purpose of odor assessment. Sometimes we do also the background for the new development, or if if the facility wants to expand or make some changes in the process, or some modifications are done. Now I would like to talk about the importance of choosing the proper odor assessment methods, because there are certain different methods to obtain the results for the off-site odor concentrations. We really want to have the real off-site odor concentration. Sometimes using the different methods, the off-site odor concentrations or odor emissions calculated might be underestimated or overestimated. And it's also very important when you do the odor removal efficiencies for any odor control systems like scrubbers, biofilters, then it's important how you take your sample, how you evaluate the sample. Odor assessment categories goes with the assessment at the source. It means odor testing at the source. It means collection of the number of samples per location, per source, and calculate the emission rates, or doing the ambient monitoring, ambient assessments, which might be for the areas affected, complaint areas. It includes the odor testing, which is allowed in Ontario, ambient odor testing, monitoring using different portable units or different like e-noses and stuff like that. It will also involve the community observations or a specific compounds monitoring testing. Or the best approach is to actually do the odor testing at the sources and do the ambient assessment at the same time. It means a combination of the two methods. As most of the people know, odor sampling at the sources depends on the source. It involves the collection of the samples of each source, a dynamical evaluation using the dynamic olfactometer and real people, Depends on the jurisdictions, depends on if you are in Europe or in Canada, in Ontario. There's some variation in olfactometry evaluation. In Ontario, we are required to use 8 people versus minimum 4 according to European standard, and also we don't follow the evaluation twice. We just do one-time evaluation. Based on the evaluation of the samples, we calculate the emission rates, and then the emission rates are put in the dispersion modeling for the offsite calculations of the odor concentrations at the sensitive receptor. Sensitive receptor, whoever is not familiar with that, is any residential area, parks, schools, and etc. Several factors should be considered before and or during the assessment. First of all, you need to select all the potential odor sources. Sometimes the fugitive sources are left behind, and then it's very important to include all the emission sources in the testing. Also, it's very important to determine the background of the odor before any testing. And then based on the source type, you need to select the methodology. For the point sources, very easy. You follow the procedure. You just collect the sample using dynamic dilution, or the lung sample, depends on the source temperature and the expected concentrations. But however, for the other sources, you have sources like area sources, fugitive sources. Depends on the type of the source. It's very important to select the appropriate method. I think that's also the number of collected samples. It's important because sometimes people wanted to cut the budget, but it should be enough to represent the emissions for the let's call it average operations, average emissions. Sometimes when it's a batch operation, you need to figure out also how you deal with the collection of the samples for the batch. If you want to catch the peak, or if you want to go with the average, including the peak and stuff like that. I think I covered that. Area sources. Area sources are active sources like the biofilters. Then you follow the different procedure. For the non-active, you use the common method is the flux chamber or the portable wind tunnel method. But however, these two methods are actually will give you the different results based on the studies. I have later on, if I have the time, to show you the case studies when you have the different results obtained by the flux chamber method versus portable wind tunnel method. Therefore, it's very important to pick the right method. However, the wind tunnel method is a little bit complicated because you need to find out the source ambient supply very clean, and sometimes it's very difficult, especially for the wastewater treatment plants. Then your air supply tubing, it's usually like very long and it's complicated. Then sometimes you use the flux chamber method and then apply some kind of the factor based on the studies done in Europe, Japan, or in Canada or US.
Hey, Anna, this is Angie. If you could try to wrap up in the next minute or two, that would be great.
Okay, then I will not have case studies, but ambient involves the ambient observations. You will have the whole presentations. Then I would like to see, yeah, because there are some methods also for the backup calculation with dispersion modeling, which will give you really good numbers for the fugitive sources. And then portable units, which are used also in states which you have to remember that's like gives you based on the one time like a peak and then short term, and it's based on the one person, unless lots of people are doing at the same time the observations. Then
Where would you like to go, Anna?
pardon me?
Where would you like to go on the slides?
I wanted to go to at least one case study when you have different results, maybe like 30 something. Yeah, do you have one, the green one? Yeah, you see. Yeah, when we did the, yeah, it's very important for the hot sources. As you know, when you have the humid and hot source, you need to dilute the sample on the site. Then you have sometimes when you use the lung sampler, you are losing the odors by the factor between 4 to 16 times based on our studies, but there are other studies as well. For the next slide, if you go, flux chamber versus wind tunnel, based on our study, it's like between 11, 13, but I know that I think Genevieve, I think in France they did also like 12 times factor between the flux chamber and the wind tunnel. Also, the next slide would be, yeah, yeah. In a Hudson study in 2009, the factor was 69 for the compost, I believe, facility. And then maybe some quick tables. Oh yeah, the one predicted and measured, predicted by the mass transfer method, which I didn't cover that, but it's a very good method. Then as you see, the measured actually is matched by whatever we measured using the mass transfer, no, whatever we measured ambient versus what we calculated mass transfer. However, when we predicted using the flux chamber, you see very low numbers. And one more slide, and then I think that's it. Maybe next, whatever I have. No, that's not a good one. Maybe the portable units. Yeah, the one of the, no, one above. Yeah. No, one more. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, this one is good because you have a centroid, portable, and nasal ranger. As you remember, the nasal ranger gives you just the peak, and also for the centroid, because you know, if you use the mask versus ports, that will give you the different results. But it's for the, you know, people to look at the interpretation. If they have any questions, I will be pleased to answer the questions. Then my summary and conclusions will be, it's very important to pick the right method for the odor assessments and do the full odor assessment, which will involve maybe the testing at the sources, modeling, plus the ambient monitoring at the same time, if the budget allows. Sometimes I see that, especially the regions, whatever, if there is a bid, they go with the lowest price, but the lower price is not always, you know, the best, you know, method to choose the consultant. Anyway, that's my conclusions, and if you have any questions, I'm very pleased to answer them.